Now, if you're really, really lucky, bonuses are paid in December. This time of the year, it hardly makes a dent, what with all the festive spending, whether you're celebrating or not. And some of us who just spend the money we just don't have. Now, this year, with several increases in fuel and food prices and a technical recession, what impact will that have on our splurging? Sales have risen by at least 9% since October, and 40 to 80% of festive season purchases are a result of impulsive buying. Financial planner from Alexander Forbes, Mark Hawes, joins us in the studio. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
How's the season playing out?
It's people have definitely been spending. The shopping centres are definitely full, and I think we're in for a bit of a bumper.
Yeah.
That said, if Black Friday this year was anything to go by, it's probably going to be a bit less than last year.
I mean, it is amazing, isn't it? It doesn't matter how bad a financial year it is. It doesn't matter what sort of increases you're subjected to. When it comes to this season, people spend.
Sure. I mean, the festive season is there to re-energise, and part of that is going out and celebrating presents for the family, holidays, these types of things. And it's almost a South African tradition, almost. Not everyone does it, but it's a necessary thing. We do it, and most people look forward to this the whole year. You know,
but does spending that sort of cash make us feel good? I mean, which bit about it is satisfying? I mean, unless you're on the receiving end, or obviously if you like to give generously too, that's satisfying. But
yes,
I should imagine any sort of financial burden is pretty debilitating, even on my speech.
Look, yeah, you know, the logic would say come bonus time, 13th check time, you should be settling debt, you should be making logical, intelligent decisions, find out what's coming up in January, these types of things, school fees. Interestingly enough, most of the spend goes to food. There is a...
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is,
yeah.
It is. It's also surprised me when I found out.
Oh, yes, and pharmaceuticals as well.
Yeah, pharmaceuticals is a big one. Not surprisingly, travel is up there.
Yep.
Entertainment, food and drink is included in both of them. So,
and food and drink is increasingly expensive as well. So
yeah, VAT's gone up, so that doesn't help that either.
No.
So it's people are just going to spend more. It is the time to celebrate, and they're going to spend on food and celebrating. And a lot of people, which I also found quite interesting, will do it the old South African way and have a bra.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. I think the best way to go about it is to plan for it to happen. I think that's the biggest mistake that people do, is they don't plan.
And I guess also people have, well, and I was going to say this, but actually you look at the results today and drink driving is on the increase. But I should imagine that more people are using Uber. That also adds to your bill, doesn't it?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So the unexpected expenses as well have to be factored in.
Exactly.
However you do that.
Exactly. Well, the simplest way to do that is to assume the same thing that happened last year is going to happen this year. People tend to be creatures of habit. We generally know where we're going for the holidays, at least a week before. So it's a good idea to just plan ahead. I think that's the best way to get through the festive season and through January.
And you mentioned school. I mean, is this something that if you can, you pay it off before the end of the year, so you know that at least a big burden has been removed?
Exactly. The best thing is to start off with essentials.
Yeah.
Including January. January is often quoted as the longest month of the year, just because it takes so long to get to payday. So the best idea is to plan for the essentials for December and for January. Make sure there's enough to get through January, including the school fees. Not everyone can afford to put the whole year school fees down in January, but it is important.
But if you could, would that be a good thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of schools will give discounts. The other way to save money is to look for those specials, whether it be school fees, whether it be holiday specials, whether it be drink specials for that matter.
Yeah.
But it is a good way to save, because it's very difficult to say don't. In my experience, it's almost impossible to say to people, don't enjoy your December holidays.
And also there's peer group pressure, which is pretty effective.
Well, it is. I mean, often people will go back to visit family, bring family over, and we look forward to it the whole year. To now, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, at the last minute, to say, sorry, that's not a good idea. It's a little bit unrealistic.
I mean, we did a story the other day on how the majority of South Africans are spending their salaries by the 5th day of the month. It used to be the 10th day of the month, so it's got even worse.
Exactly.
I mean, that's pretty staggering, isn't it? I mean, how do you cope once you've blown your salary so early on?
So, you know, you have to start with where you are with what you have. You can't spend money that you don't have.
No.
People do turn to debt, unfortunately, and you have to pay your bills. You know, nobody's going to not let you not pay the bills.
Yeah.
But the simplest and best way to do it is get back to budgets. If you don't have a budget, do a budget. And the secret of a budget is...
Yes, how do you do that?
It's the best place to start is to find out where all your money is going.
Okay.
That is the purpose of a budget.
Yeah.
It's not to find out what your budget should look like.
Right.
I've got a family member who's a smoker, and like any smoker, he's always on the border of quitting. So that's what he excludes from his budget. And come the end of the month, he's like $1,000 short.
Yeah.
The first step is to go find what you're actually spending your money on. If you know, like my family, we enjoy chocolates, include it in the budget.
I should imagine it's pretty staggering when you actually look and see what you do spend money on and where you waste it.
Well, you know, what we found is at least 10% of a person's spend just goes missing, so to speak, is people just don't know where they spent it.
And should that be rather put into your savings account if you can afford to do that?
Exactly, exactly. Where there's money left over, you want to be able to provide for the next objective, whatever it is, which brings me to the next point, which is prioritizing, especially in December.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the festive season. Yes, there's the holiday times. Presents, all these are priorities, but don't forget the others that you've been prioritizing the whole year, such as the school fees, such as the debts, the rent, or whatever it might be that's coming up. Those have to be paid, so include those and put those first.
And the best way to deal with the debt, if you're in the debt trap, and credit cards, those frightening things that entice you to spend.
So there's no shortcut to getting out of debt. You have to pay off the debt, and you can't finance debt, which is the debt trap, is taking debt to pay off debt. That just doesn't work.
That's super dangerous, isn't it?
Exactly. That is almost...
speedy decline.
Exactly. That's the definition of the debt trap. So you want to actually... There's no choice. You do have to tighten the proverbial belt. You have to cut your cloth, so to speak, and you have to spend less, which in December is not easy.
No.
If you do, and you're able to do it even just marginally, and remember, absolutes are very difficult to keep to. Relative progress is always better, as long as you're relatively always progressing. Right. So this month you spend less on things you don't need, you pay off more debt. You may not pay off all of it, you may not pay all of it that's knocking on your door, but as long as you're moving forward, I think that's really the yardstick that you have to get to, and saving for emergencies.
Let's leave it on that valuable bit of advice, Mark. Thank you very much, and happy Christmas.
And to you.
That's our show for tonight. News is next.